Hello everyone and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. We are back in the kitchen again, and what a great place to be. Being in the kitchen, always fun, and usually something good's gonna come from it, and that's what's gonna happen today. Today folks, we are gonna have a fabulous fish fry. And the recipe I'm gonna share with you today is a general recipe that you could use with your favorite fish. So it doesn't necessarily matter what you're frying, but the recipe will be the same. Today I'm frying perch, freshwater perch, but you could use this for walleye, cod, haddock, whatever fish you wanted to cook that day. So the ingredients are simple. I have some semolina flour, and I'm going to use, we're gonna go with a half a cup, which is more than enough. And I'm gonna put some semolina flour in a bowl. Probably a quarter cup was all I needed, but we're gonna be generous right now and go with a half cup. The next ingredient, panko breadcrumbs. That's a cup, it's probably enough. I'm gonna go with a cup and a half. So kind of like I did with the semolina, I'm gonna go with a cup and a half of panko breadcrumb. And then in my other container, I'm gonna put 1 egg. Now I've got a brown egg here, but of course you could use a white egg. You just need 1 egg. And to the egg, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon of water. Beat the egg lightly, so what we're making is more of an egg wash. Okay, so we've got our egg wash here. We've got our panko breadcrumbs here and our semolina flour. Now I mentioned semolina flour. You could substitute and use all-purpose white flour. It comes just as good. What I found with the semolina, it's just a little better because the semolina adds a little bit more color, golden, and it also gives an extra layer of crispiness. And speaking of crispiness, that's why we use the panko breadcrumbs. You could substitute with regular Italian breadcrumbs as well, and this recipe will still come out really good, but for that extra crunch, you really want that panko breadcrumb. Okay. So, also I have one more thing that I'm using. I've got some parsley here that I've chopped up, and it's my own parsley. I just went and picked it. And what I do for the parsley is I take the leaves off the stems, and then I take all my leaves, and an easy way to cut the parsley is to put all the parsley, all those leaves together, bunch them up into a ball, and then into a nice little tight ball. And then with your knife, you can slice through that tight ball of parsley, and it comes out nicely and easily, and then you can finish it off by chopping it up. It's an easy way to do it. Okay, so let's get started. So to prepare these fish is very easy. I like to set up a little station, as you can see here, and here's our panko breadcrumb. And to our panko breadcrumb, we're gonna add the parsley, or the chopped parsley. So there's about a tablespoon there, and let's put another tablespoon in. So about 2 tablespoons of parsley. Now, the parsley is optional. If you don't have parsley, you don't need to use it. This recipe will still come out very tasty. But I will tell you this, if there's one spice that I like to use for fish, it's parsley. Parsley and fish go very well together. So our egg wash is here, as you've seen. I just mixed it a bit with some water, as you noticed. And that we don't add anything to, we just leave that there. And same with our semolina flour, it is good to go. So the process, very simple. We take our fish. Now I should say, you can see the size of this fish, it's a perfect size. It's not too big, not too small. If you're using cod or haddock or a bigger fish, cut them up in chunks, you know, about this big, because they will cook up better. And they will be tasty, that's for sure. I find that they cook up much better. And all you're gonna do is dip it in the semolina, so it's covered in the semolina. And then it's gonna go into the egg wash. You just wanna cover it with the egg wash. Let it drip a bit. Okay, and then from the egg wash, it goes right into the panko breadcrumb. And you wanna cover it with the breadcrumb. Okay, there's one ready to go. Now we do the same process with the next one. Very simple. Into the semolina flour. Definitely a quarter cup would have been enough. because you're just putting a little bit of flour, just a little bit gripping onto that. And the other thing I should mention, what I did with this fish, is I took it out of the refrigerator about 20 minutes early, let it come up to room temp a bit. And the other important thing to do is to dry your fish fillets. Take all that moisture out. That will allow the fish to cook up nice and crispy. And the other thing it does is water and oil don't go well together when you go to fry. So you want to make sure that your fillets are nice and dry. And I just dried them with a paper towel. Very easy. So there's a second one done, nicely coated. So I'm going to continue doing the same process. Flour first, egg wash second, breadcrumb third. That's the process. And we're going to get these all prepared. So I'm down to my last fillet. And I should have mentioned I have under 1 pound of fish that I'm cooking today. So there is actually, I weighed it out earlier, it was 365 grams. So less than 1 pound. And as you can see, I just have enough egg wash here. I'm going to use the last little bit. So depending on how much fish you're doing, of course, if you run out of egg wash, then just grab another egg, add a little, just a tablespoon of water, and make yourself another egg wash. This one is just barely enough. Okay, and you can see my panko breadcrumbs, I used quite a bit of it. So it looked like that was a good amount for just under 1 pound of fish. I do have a little bit extra left, but that's There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to season these. So what I could have done is I'm going to season with a little bit of Old Bay seasoning. You don't need to use Old Bay. You could use just salt if you want. You could use paprika. Or you could use Old Bay seasoning as you wish. Now, the other thing I could have done is I could have added the Old Bay seasoning right into my breadcrumb mix, but I had forgotten. So that's okay. I'm just going to sprinkle some Old Bay on the top. And the other thing I'm going to season with is salt, but I'm not going to add the salt until it's done. So I'm going to flip these and a little bit of seasoning on the other side. So when it comes to frying, we're going to start off on high heat, and I like to use grapeseed oil. You know I love my olive oil, but not for frying like this. For this I like to use grapeseed oil. It takes a high temperature very nicely, and if I didn't have any grapeseed, my secondary choice would be sunflower oil. So I'm not going to deep fry it, but I want enough that it's not a shallow fry either. So I've got it on high, and we're going to let this get up to close to 400 degrees before we start to fry. So I like to use a temperature gauge to check the temperature of the oil, and as you can see there, it is 378 right there, and I like to get it up to about close to 400. So 386, perfect. We're going to drop it in right now, because once we drop the fish in the oil, it's going to cool it a little bit. So I like to fry it around 360, but I like to get it up to 400 so it allows for a cooling down. Now, if Corrado were here, he'd say, you don't need that thermometer, just put the fish in, and if you see it starts to sizzle, you know it's ready. Okay, that'll work too. So you got to put the fish in. Oh yeah, that's the sound of music. Now the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it on high right now, but I'm going to drop it down to medium high. So I don't really want it to burn. And you can see this perch is already starting to brown up, because that oil is nice and hot. I might be able to squeeze this last one in there too. I think I can. There we go. How's that for a sight? That's beautiful. So these are only going to take like 1 minute to 2 minutes per side. That's it. And you'll start to see as they start to brown up, the panko starts to brown up first, and that's what you want. You want that nice golden brown. In fact, if you look at this one, you'll see there's some nice browning happening right there. This one looks like, just based on the outside brownness there, that one is, oh, look at that. That one's definitely done. This one looks like it can be flipped as well. Not as dark, but still nice golden color. This one looks like it's coming. This one possibly. Oh yeah, that's a nice color. When they get to that nice golden brown, That's perfect. How about that one? Oh yeah, that one is actually almost overcooked. Let's see this one. Yeah, that's a nice golden brown. And this one probably can be turned. Yep. We can do the same here. Oh yeah. And this one should be ready by now too. There we go. Isn't that a sight right there? Oh, that's gorgeous. Okay, we're just going to give it another 30 seconds to a minute. All right, 30 seconds was basically all we needed because this one that we flipped first is definitely done. You can see on the back side. Put that in there. That one's done. This one looks like it's done. This one, check the back. Looks like they're all starting to cook up nicely now. This one here is a little thinner. I could stay for maybe another couple seconds. This one is definitely done. Looky there. Now that is what I call one beautiful looking plate of fish. And you now can salt to taste. I don't need much salt because there was already salt in the Old Bay seasoning. But isn't that gorgeous? That is one beautiful plate of fish right there. Oh my, you can dress it up with a little bit of slice of lemon or two there. But isn't that something that's gonna make for a fantastic meal? Let's start with, let's give a taste test here. This one right here looks really good. Golden, crunchy, absolutely delicious. Simple recipe. You saw how quick and easy it was to come together. It was fun to make, fun to cook, and delicious to eat. Next time you're up for a fish fry, give this recipe a try. It's surely to become one of your favorites. It's definitely mine. This is fantastic. I want to thank you for joining me on today's episode of Cooking with the Koyas. Always great to be in the kitchen with you. And until next time, buon appetito! Oh yeah, that's what it's all about right there.